Hello everybody and welcome to the third and final video that I'll be covering Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi 2020 with. In this video I'm going to be talking about the special list that was released in this volume of Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi, which was the top 10 of the decade. Now, if you want a little bit more information about the ratings of the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi, how they come up with this and everything else, then make sure you check out the first video, the top 10 Bunko List, and then of course there's the second video in this, the top 10 Tankobon. I'll put a card link to the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi 2020 playlist just in case you haven't checked out any of the previous two videos. Now, a couple things about this list before we get started. First off, there is going to be a title that is not on this list that I know when the list first came out, a lot of people were scratching their head going, what the heck? And that was My Youth Romantic Comedy is Wrong as I Expected. Very popular series, has ranked in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi several times before, but not in this top 10. And the reason is that back in 2015, it had already amassed over 1,000 points. And so at that time, they made the decision to put it into the Hall of Fame, which effectively meant that it would no longer be eligible to gain points and be tracked and everything else. I do believe they still allow them for like the character polling, but in any case, that is why it's not on this top 10, because it was basically taken out of contention when they enshrined it in this Hall of Fame. When I go over the points, I mean, consider that it had well over 1,000 points, 3 or 4 years ago, which means it probably would have been and maybe in the top spot or very close to it if it was included on this top 10. So just so you know, that was one that I know a lot of people were kind of like, I don't understand why this isn't in the top 10 until, we read a little further. The second thing about this list is that this list is not about quality, okay? This is not the top 10 best light novels of the past decade. Instead, what this is basically what Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi's editors or creators did. They went back and they basically said, okay, so from like 2010 to 2019, what votes, how many points, and like I said, I discussed that in the first video, how many points did each of the light novel titles receive? And basically they gave out the top 10, so these ones received the most points from the voters. So again, this is kind of a popularity thing. This isn't necessarily a quality thing. I only say that because I know that there will probably be titles on this list that a few people will be scratching their heads and going, how the heck? Like, I get it's popular, but why is it like the best? Well, this is not a best of list. This is merely a most votes list, which, like I said, I can kind of chalk that up to popularity, not always up to quality. One last interesting thing of note is that of these 10 titles, only one has not been licensed in English. And, well, given the fact that it's the one series that's over, and has actually been over for a couple years, there's a good chance we may never see this officially in English. And, well, I'll talk about that as we get a little further in. At the number 10 spot, and this one had 660.69 points, and that is the Monogatari series. This one we have in English from Vertical. It began publication in Japan back in 2006. Now, it's placed in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi a number of times. In 2010 it was number 2, and then in 2017 it was number 2 on the Tankobon List, and then in 2018 it was number 5 in the Tankobon List. You'll remember from my first video, they did split the list into Tankobon and Bunko back in the 2017 edition of Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi. This series about a boy who comes into contact with aberrations, vampires, spirits, ghosts, god-like things. And once he himself becomes in contact with them, well, once you meet an aberration, you're just inevitably meant to keep running into them. And so he keeps running into people that have been afflicted or affected by these aberrations, and he does his best to help them, although often they just go and end up saving themselves. If you know the series, yeah. In any case, this is a series that I have been keeping up with. I'm a little bit behind currently, but I'm hoping to fix that in the next week or two. It is a very neat series, very much about the characters and conversation. The author of this one, Nishio Ishin, is known for his wordplay and stuff like that, and he just goes all out in the Monogatari series. It's kind of like, it feels almost like his playground, just to let characters let loose with random thoughts and ideas that somehow turn into entire novels. At number 9, and this one had 674.01 points, and that is Jaku-chara Tomozaki-kun, or bottom tier character Tomozaki. This started publication just in 2016, so it's relatively new. We do have this now licensed for English release in by Yenon. They just started releasing it. I believe Volume 2 is just out now. This one in 2017 was number 8 on the Bunko List. 2018 it was number 7. 2019 it was number 3. And then 2020, the most recent one, it was still at number 3. So hanging in there, doing well. This one, slice of life series about a boy who is a hardcore gamer, one of the best gamers in Japan, and he thinks life is the worst game ever. And this girl, who is also a really accomplished gamer, kind of says to him, hey, life is a game, basically, so let me teach you some cheats and some inside codes so that you can get through things better. And hilarity ensues, I suppose. This is one I haven't had a chance to read any of. I did actually just pick up the first volume of this, so look for my review of this one probably early on in the... Actually, no, probably before the end of December, maybe. We'll see. I'm trying to power through a bunch of reviews now that I've done basically a week and a half of countdowns. At number 8, and this one has 682.83 points. And it's kind of weird because looking back at the list, I can never find a single time that this series was in the top 10. Feel free, like maybe I was looking at I was on Wikipedia looking through all the lists and maybe I missed it, or maybe Wikipedia was wrong, I don't know, but I could not find a single time that this title has entered into the top 10, and yet here it is at number 8 with the most points, so, and that is Mahouka Koukou no Rettousei, or The Irregular at Magic High School. This one began publication in 2011, and we do have it licensed for English release by Yenon. This one, the story of the world where basically magic has become like a science. There's still obviously people that are gifted or not gifted with the ability to use it, and it basically follows a whole bunch of different storylines. The main setup is that this brother and sister go to one of the most prestigious magic high schools. He is put into the low class. She is considered gifted and put into the top of the class. But, well, you know how these things go. Maybe brother's got a couple tricks up his sleeve. In any case, this one, I've only read the first couple volumes of it. I did watch the anime, and they have announced that this is actually getting another anime season, which has taken a long time. I mean, this series... it definitely sells very well, so I was kind of surprised that it seemed to take such a long time to get another season of anime, but it is on the way. At number 7, and this one with 690.14 points, and this one is Honzuki no Gekokujo, or, as we have it in English, Ascendance of a Bookworm. This one's licensed for English release by J Novel Club. Now, it began publication in Japan in 2015. In 2017, it ranked at number 5 on the Tankobon List. And then 2018 and in 2019, it was number 1 on the Tankobon List. This year, 2020, it was knocked down to number 2. So it has done very well in the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi rankings. There's an anime currently running of it. Like I said, J Novel Club has picked up the license. It is an isekai series about a girl who loves books. She is on track to become a librarian, dies tragically, finds herself reborn in a new world, but the literacy rate is incredibly low. And so she basically sets out on a journey that if she can't obtain books because they are so expensive because most people can't read them, she will find a way to make books accessible and to create books so that she can live her life surrounded by them. I actually just got volume 1 in the mail today. So I'll be definitely checking that one out. It's been one that I have been very excited to check out. First of all, obviously, because I was aware of it because of Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi, but it's gotten a ton of great word of mouth. A lot of people that I know were fans of it in the Discord server and reading it in Japanese, and now a lot of new fans reading it in English. So definitely one that I'm going to be checking out very soon. At number 6 with 702.9 points, No Game, No Life. This one began publication in Japan back in 2012. It is released in English by Yen On. In fact, I think they are coming close to catching up with the Japanese releases. This one has had a very erratic release schedule. The author Yukimiya has had a number of health problems and at least 1 or 2 legal problems that have kind of thrown the wrench in the works on this series, and but yet it still obviously remains a bit popular. It began back in 2014. It was number 10 on the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi list. 2015 it would place number 3, and then in 2016 it was at number 6. So it hasn't placed since 2016, but obviously it's still getting votes. It's still popular. It's a story about 2 gaming siblings who are summoned by the god of a world where all disputes are solved through games. And they find that humanity's in pretty dire straits. So they decide to put their gaming skills to use to help and find some happiness and prosperity for humanity, and maybe just fix some of the ills of the world at the same time. This one has some really clever approaches to gaming that I really enjoyed. The morality, I don't know whether I'd say morality, behavior, I don't know. The siblings can be a little questionable in how they behave and how they go about things, and sometimes how they treat other people. But overall, I found it pretty entertaining. I have fallen behind on it. I think I finished volume 6. I think it's up to volume 11, I want to say. In any case, yeah, so I'm a little bit behind, but they're not really long volumes. I could probably catch up if I make an effort in 2020. At number 5 with 718.67 points, and this is the one series that has not been licensed for English release, and that is Tenkyo no Alderamin, or Alderamin on the Sky. This began publication in 2012 and ended publication in 2018. In 2014, it placed number 2 in the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi list. In 2015, it was at number 10. And then in 2016, it went back up to number 3. This is a fantasy series about 2 nations at war. I don't know very much about it because I did not watch the anime when it came out, because I thought, hey, we might just get the light novels. And we haven't gotten the light novels, so I haven't read the light novels either. I know has a number of people that are fans of it, but it doesn't seem to have quite the rabid fan base that unfortunately has not helped get it licensed. What's funny, though, is that the author of Alderamin on the Sky has a new series which actually placed number 1 on the Bunko list this year. So I think we might have a good chance of getting that series if it continues to do well. Maybe if that series comes out in English and does really well, they might go back to the older catalog, and that's I'm thinking the only way we're getting this series in English. But I would like to see it. The alt sort of fantasy world war stories and stuff like that. They're kind of cool, actually. And J Novel Club's just brought out a new series called Altina the Sword Princess, which is similar in its feel to what Alderamin on the Sky was. So, in any case, that one is at number 5. At number 4 with 818.67 points. I'm just going to say the English title because the Japanese is really long and I will butcher it even worse than I do most others. And that is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? This one began publication in 2013. In 2014, it was number 4. In 2016, number 8. And in 2018, it was number 9 on the Bunko list. This one, it's a fantasy series about a young boy who comes to a capital city that sits atop a dungeon, and his goal is to become an adventurer and descend into the dungeon to find his fortune and way in life. It is a really good series, one that has constantly in the last couple of years ranked in my top 10. This year, because I hit a bit of a reading slump, and then once I started reading a bit more, I started focusing on a lot of the brand new series that I hadn't even read a single volume of. I don't think I've read a single volume of Danmachi this year. Wow, this will be, I think, the first time in 3 years that that's not like in my top 10 favorite light novel series of the year. But still, I do actually have a volume to get to, and I will definitely be reading more of Danmachi in 2020, because I want to get caught up, because like I said, I've really enjoyed that series, and one that I definitely have a bit of respect for. At number 3 with 1,452.75 points. Wow, that's a big jump between number 4 and number 3. That is Ryuo no Oshigoto, or The Ryo's Work is Never Done. This began publication in 2015. It is licensed for English release by Bookwalker. It's an exclusive. You can only buy it digitally from Bookwalker's site. In 2017, it was number 1 on the Bunko List. Was also number 1 in 2018, and then in 2019 and in 2020 it dropped to number 2. So the past 4 years this has been in the top 2 on the Bunko List. So very well regarded series. Kind of hard to understand why from the first volume alone, which admittedly is the only one of the series that I read, but as I have it, is apparently gets much better as the series progresses. I will definitely give it credit. Its depiction of shogi was really good, was really intense, really well written, and even though I know virtually nothing about shogi, I still found it easy enough to follow. So definitely there are things that I thought were positives in this series. It just didn't grab me as much as obviously it's grabbed a whole lot of other people in Japan, and like I said, quite a number of English fans that I know have enjoyed it as well. At the number 2 spot with 1,503.41 points, Toaru Majutsu no Index, or as we have it in English, A Certain Magical Index. This began publication in 2004. The main series ended in 2010. Now, here's the thing, and I don't have the answer for this because no matter where I looked, I couldn't find an actual answer. This book has ranked in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi since 2010. I don't know if that is just the main series, A Certain Magical Index, whether that is the new series, A Certain Magical Index New Testament, or whether they are just amalgamating those two things into one series, because honestly, even though New Testament is subtitled something different, it is still a continuation of the story that A Certain Magical Index told. So I really don't know the answer to that. Maybe it's a combination of both. I think honestly they've probably just blended the two together, because like I said, it's still basically one series. It's got the same characters, it's continuation of the timeline, the storyline. So I think that's what they've done, but like I said, I couldn't find clarification on that. In any case, in 2010, this was at the number 9 spot. In 2011, it was number 1. In 2012, it was number 2. 2013, number 2. 2014, number 3. 2015, number 4. And then 2016, number 7. And that seems to be where it ends its run in the top 10. But that's a pretty solid run that it had in that top 10. This one, basically a story of magic where it has become even more of a science than what we see in the Irregular Magic High School, to the point where like they're using things like drugs and genetic manipulation and all this kind of stuff to try and create ever more powerful individuals. It kind of becomes like a war between like magic, science, angels, demons, the church. It goes many places. I've only seen the anime of this one. I only read the first volume of the actual light novel series. Yeah, I know most people probably consider that a bit of a crime, but that is just how it turned out, unfortunately. But I know a bunch of guys on the Light Novel Podcast are fans of this. In fact, we did a podcast on Index, and I basically just checked out after the news and just listened to them go on for like 2 hours. So, yeah, super popular series, which, I mean, you can obviously tell by the number of votes it's gotten and by the number of places that it placed in the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi rankings. Finally, at number 1, with 1,728.95 points. You're probably not going to be too surprised. It's Sword Art Online. This began publication in 2009, and since then, so 2011 it was at number 4, then 2012 number 1, 2013 number 1, 2014 number 5, 2016 number 2, 2017, number 4 on the Bunko List, 2018, number 5 on the Bunko List, and in 2019, it was number 10 on the Bunko List. Whew! So this one has been in the top 10 for years and years. Well, pretty much for most of that decade it was in the top 10. So not too surprising that when you go by overall voting and the points that are assigned, it comes out at number 1. Like I said, I am not a Sword Art Online hater. In fact, I can say I've actually enjoyed parts of that series, but I know there's lots of people that, this is why I said at the top, this is a list based on how people voted. It is not necessarily a list based on best quality, because even though I am not a Sword Art Online hater, even though I have enjoyed parts of the series, I do not think it is one of the best light novel series. But that said, again, it's insanely popular. Much of the voting in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi is driven by people and their passions and what they enjoy. So it's not too shocking that this series hits at number 1. Do I really even need to say what this one is about? Probably not. And honestly, even if you give the rough outline, I mean, it's basically about virtual gaming and all of the good and horrible that can come of it. Let's just say it at that. Because, yeah, they jump a whole bunch of different worlds, and yeah, there's not even a point to talk about the death game, because that's like only 2 books. Of the, there's 22, I think, out now. Oh, 23, I think, just came out. In any case, this one, super popular. Not too surprising that it's at the top spot of this list. So those are the 10 series that have received the most points in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi of the past decade. Well, I mean, I don't expect you to go back over a decade, but hey, what are your picks for your, I don't know, your number 1, your number 2, your number 5? You can give me a list of 10 even. I don't really care. Feel free to tell me, what series do you really love? It doesn't matter, you know, just doesn't matter what the series is. It doesn't matter whether it's officially in English or not. Just tell me, what series are you really excited for? What series do you love? And how would you place them? And if you don't feel comfortable ranking them, then just tell me the list. I love to hear what people are enjoying and what people are reading. In fact, it's one of the main reasons that I do this channel, is to try and help people find out more about light novels and to find out about new series that they might not be aware of and that they might hopefully enjoy. So in any case, that's going to be the end of my Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi 2020 coverage. Yes, I know there are lots of other lists, the top 10 most popular male, female, and other lists, and but I just think I have flogged this horse enough with 3 videos. Simple Google search will give you the results for all those other lists if you feel so inclined. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and if you've watched the whole series, thank you so much for those. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Until then, bye-bye for now.